The last thing I wanted to get into is the MVP race. The NBA comes out with a updated MVP ladder every Friday. And this past Friday, they just moved Luka from the 4th spot in the race, maybe the 3rd spot, into the number 2 spot behind Jokic, and he replaced Joel Embiid. And I think it's very interesting. I want to go over some stuff, and I want to show you some of the explanation behind why they moved them up, and I want you to pay attention to the language. I think it's very interesting. But before I get into all of that, this episode is sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy is the best place to play fantasy sports. I want to tell you about the easiest way to get in some NBA action with Underdog Fantasy in their pick'em game. Just find your favorite player, pick higher or lower on that player's stats, and you can get up to 20 times your money in one night. Pick between 2 and 5 players and fill your pick'em entry. Get every pick right, and you can earn yourself some serious cash. Use the promo code ManDownSports, and you can get your deposit double up to $100. You have to look at the map and check to make sure that you're eligible in your state to play Underdog Fantasy. But as soon as you find out that you're eligible, download the app Underdog Fantasy. Use the promo code ManDownSports and go ahead and get your picks in. We want to thank Underdog Fantasy for helping us out and sponsoring the show. All right, so with the MVP discussion, it's not heating up yet, but the preseason favorites, of course, was Luka and Jokic, the usual suspects. Somehow Giannis is getting left out of these discussions these days, but that's another topic for another day. But I want to point something out, right? I thought this was real interesting. Let's go over this MVP stuff, and I want to bring to your attention the language they use in describing the strong suits of each player and why they're deserving to be where they're at on the MVP ladder, right? So like I said, they just moved Luka up. So let's talk about Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets. He's averaging 30 points, 14 rebounds. That's great, right? I'm a big fan of Jokic. He's averaging 8 assists, right? So that's near a triple-double, right? That's self-explanatory. He's a 2-time MVP. The same reason why he won his first 2 MVPs is why he's in the discussion now. Denver continues to be at the top of the standings in the West and the top of the standings in the NBA period. They're playing phenomenal basketball on both ends of the court, and Jokic is doing the same. No argument there. But I just want to talk about the disparity between how the NBA, whoever runs the NBA.com website or whatever writers wrote this stuff, the language they chose to describe these players, right? Listen to how extremely positive it is that they spoke about Jokic. All right, here's his case. Good luck unseating the 2-time Kill MVP, who just put together his 4th consecutive game with 30 points or more, a streak that ranks as the 2nd longest of his career. Jokic enters Denver's upcoming 5-game road trip, having put up 20 plus points and 10 plus rebounds, and the season opening 11 consecutive outings. The plot. So that's what they said about Jokic. All positive, right? They talk about his consecutive streak. They talk about how well he's been playing so far, right? Very positive. Luka Doncic, they just moved up from number 3 to number 2. He's averaging 31 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. Phenomenal. Almost a triple-double. Keep that in mind, triple-double. His case. Doncic leads the league's 2nd highest scoring offense at 123.4 points a game. First line, he's leading the league's 2nd highest scoring offense. And he's made subtle changes such as taking more catch and shoot threes that yielded significant results in helping to push Dallas's pace to number 5 in the league. With 58 career triple doubles, the Slovenian needs only one more to tie Larry Bird for 9th all time in the NBA history. Tough. All positive. Did you hear anything negative in anything that they said about Jokic or Luka? Anything negative? Now, Has there been anything negative so far in the season for Luka? Well, just 2 or 3 games ago, they got clapped by Zion and the Pelicans. Luka looked so bad in that game. He had 6 turnovers in the first quarter. Right, this is the same game in the same week that they used to push him from 3 to 2. Right, 6 turnovers in the first quarter. He had 8 turnovers to finish with, and he didn't even play the fourth quarter. The game was blown out so bad, the starters for Dallas didn't even play in the fourth quarter, so he didn't have a chance to get 10 plus turnovers. But he was well on his way to 10 plus. But guess who got 10 plus turnovers? Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic played the Memphis Grizzlies, and the defensive player of the year, Jaren Jackson, was locking them up. Not only Jaren Jackson, but their backup, Tillman, locking them up. And he had 11 turnovers that game. So we can talk about the negative for Jokic and Luka if we want to, but it's really not even that necessary. Just tell us why they're in the top 5 of MVP consideration, and we'll be good with that. There's no need to go over and start talking about negative stuff, not yet, until the race heat up. But it's very interesting when they talk about Joel Embiid. His case. Name Eastern Conference Player of the Week on Monday for the 12th time. Good. You said something positive, right? Let's hear more positive. Embiid scored a season low 20 points in Wednesday's loss to Boston as Philadelphia dropped consecutive games for the first time. The contest snapped the 3-game streak in which the reigning MVP hit at least 10 free throws. But he should rebound at Atlanta on Friday, having averaged 23 or 25 points in 16 regular season games against the Hawks. So they said negative things. They started out with something positive. All right, he's in the MVP discussion. He's got to have something positive. Only thing positive, he was named Eastern Conference Player of the Week. That was it. Right? They didn't talk about none of his defense, none of his rebounding, none of his scoring, none of his good games. None of that. Not even the fact that he just lost his number 2 in James Harden and he still got his team top of the standings. None of that. They didn't mention that. They say he got Player of the Week. But let me talk about all the bad stuff. He just lost to Boston. He failed to get his average. He only scored 20 points. He usually get at least 10 free throws. He didn't get his 10 free throws, and they lost consecutive games. All negative stuff, right? Then at number 4, they got Tatum. He's averaging now. I forgot to tell you what Embiid's averaging: 32 points. So he's averaging more than Luka and Jokic, averaging 30 points. 12 rebounds. He's averaging more rebounds than Luka. Luka's averaging 8, and not more than Jokic. Jokic averaging 14. So he's having 12 rebounds and 32 points. And surprisingly, he's averaging 6 assists. I think this might be his career high in assists. I don't think he's averaged that much, but 6 assists for a center from the center position is a lot. I know Jokic is getting 9 assists. I think he's getting 9 assists, which is crazy for a center. But he's a center that Denver uses as their passer and as their playmaker. So 9 assists for him makes sense. 8 assists for a point guard like Luka, who runs the Luka system, where he's getting all the assists. That makes sense. But 6 assists from the center position, primarily in the post, is pretty good, right? So your point guard in Jokic and Luka is getting 8, and my center in Philly is getting 6. Just a difference of 2, right? I think that's impressive, right? But they didn't talk about that. They didn't talk about how his assist numbers are up. But I think that's interesting. But Jason Tatum at number 4. Now, mind you, when they talked about Luka, they talked about how he led the number 2 ranked offense in scoring. Well, Jason Tatum not only has the number 3 rated offense in the NBA, he also has the number 2 rated defense in the NBA. So if we're going to mention the offense for Luka, we definitely got to mention the offense and the defense for Tatum, who's averaging 29 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists. Right? Here's what they said about Tatum, his case. as some faces change around him, because they did trade some people and they brought in Porzingis and they brought in Holiday and got rid of Smart and some other people. He said, as some faces change around him due to injuries and personal matters early in the season, Tatum remains a Celtics constant. It's just the 15th player in league history to score 10,000 points before the age of 26. What the hell does this got to do with the MVP? He's played in all 11 of Boston games. Tatum leads the 1-0 Celtics. They just talking about the play-in tournament into Toronto on Friday for another Group C matchup of the in-season tournament. That don't sound like you trying to promote him as an MVP candidate. It really don't. Who wrote this? Right? So I'm going to start doing my Underdog Fantasy MVP ladder and updating every Friday, right? I have graphics for you so you can visually see who I'm picking, but I want to tell you how I'm picking them, because it seems like with the NBA, as in recent years, the player that gets closer or the closest to a triple-double is the favorite for the MVP. You know, that's what it's turned into. It's turned into just a offensive stat award. And whoever is the closest to a triple-double will be getting more MVP consideration than the next man. All right, so points, rebounds, and assists that's what the award is all about, points, rebounds, and assists. The defensive end they don't care about. And if we let them get away with not considering wins, they will. They've done it in the past. When Westbrook won his MVP, he averaged a triple-double, but his team was in the 6th seed in the West. Right? Not the NBA, 6th seed in the West. Right? So he wasn't even leading a real contender. Right? We rewarded him just because he averaged a triple-double. Right? And then with Jokic, he almost averaged a triple-double. He didn't even average a triple-double, but he almost did, which was unheard of for a center. So he was in the 6th seed as well, probably was in the 7th seed, but it was the year that Jamal Murray was hurt and Porter missed time as well. So they said, well, being in the 6th seed, it's okay because he don't have his guys. But he almost averaged a triple-double. We got to give him the MVP. So that triple-double thing is very important. Ever since Westbrook, everyone who has won the MVP except last year's MVP and Joel Embiid, and it was unusual circumstances behind how that happened, right? Everyone after Westbrook was very close to averaging a triple-double that won the MVP. Westbrook, Harden, Giannis, Jokic. I don't know who else I'm missing, right? But triple-doubles is where it's at, right? So that's how the NBA and the fans and the NBA media, that's how they look at it. They look at triple-double. If you close to a triple-double, there's no way I cannot consider you on. And even if your team is in the 6th seed, not in the top of the standings, we can find a way to fit you in if you're real close to that triple-double, and we'll find excuses. Maybe your number 2 is hurt in Jokic's case, or maybe you broke a record in Westbrook's case and you actually averaged a triple-double. We can give it to you if you can give us an excuse, right? But for the most part, we don't let them get away with that, with picking someone whose team is not winning or not winning at a high clip, right? So if you're going to average close to a triple-double and your team can actually be at top of the standings, you're gonna be in the MVP discussion, and that's what we see Luka at right now. He's averaging 30 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. That's the same thing he averaged last year. He fell out of the MVP race, even though he was the favorite, preseason favorite coming in. He fell out of the race before All-Star break. Man, he probably was out of the race by game 25. They went on like a 7-game losing streak at some point, right? So he fell out of the race, and he's fell out of the race every 3 years that he's been in a preseason favorite. But this year is different. They're actually winning at a high clip. The offense is highly rated, like I said, at number 2, right? And that's enough to give it to him because he's averaging a triple-double. And as long as he's in his prime, he's going to average this by way that the Dallas Mavericks play that offense. It's impossible for him not to average that. If he's got a green light to shoot 25 to 30 shots a game, he's running high screen roll and the only player designed to get an assist other than Kyrie Irving. So you can book him for between 7 and 9 assists a game, and he lags on defense, and that's how he get his rebounds. You know, he sags on defense and guards the guy in the corner, and long rebounds just go to him. No, I looked up the rebounds and I noticed that out of the 8 rebounds that Luka is averaging, almost all of them are defensive rebounds. Right. So when you look at those rebounding numbers, they don't tell me he's a great rebounder, because great rebounders get rebounds on both ends of the floor. Like, great rebounders are down there battling and snagging offensive rebounds and giving us extra possessions. That's what great rebounders do. That's what Rodman did. That's what Charles Barkley did. Those guys rebound. That's offense and defensive rebounds. You got to clean the glass. I'm not impressed by the rebounds that people are getting now when they're sagging on defense and just guarding the player in the corner, and they only have to box out to get the rebound. They just miss and they're on the backside, easy rebound. I'm not impressed by you getting 8 of those, and that's mostly what a lot of players are getting, especially Luka. So I say all that to say this: the perfect blueprint for MVP in the NBA is the person that they named the trophy after of. Michael Jordan. They named the MVP trophy after Michael Jordan. So I think this is an opportunity for the NBA, and I've done a video on this. And I went in depth with it. But there's an opportunity for the NBA to say, we want our MVPs to personify everything that Michael Jordan represented when he was a player, because we named the trophy after him. And what I think Michael Jordan represented is a fierce competitor on both ends of the floor. He was highly skilled and highly competitive, highly efficient, and a great scorer with and without the ball on offense. So the first and foremost, I want my MVP to be a great unstoppable scorer, right? More important than if he is doing 2 roles, scoring and assisting, because all great players are going to get assists because they're going to get doubled because they're such a great scorer. So if you're a good passer, you're going to find guys, and you can easily get between 4 to 6 assists playing off the ball. You don't even have to be a point guard. If you're a great scorer, you don't even have to be a point guard to get 4 assists. The double's coming, and you just got to make the play out of the double team. Centers can get 4 assists out of the post. So Michael Jordan, Jason Tatum, Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant, they getting 4 to 6 assists just by being good players. But the guys that's playing point guard and doing all the scoring, they're going to get a little bit more assists. Instead of getting 6, they get 8, right? Am I supposed to be impressed by that extra 2 assists you're getting when you're the only one with the ball on offense? Not that super impressed. So let's take the assists out of the equation for now. Let's just concentrate on scoring, and let's go to the defensive end of the floor. Michael Jordan also was a fierce competitor, and not only was he the best scorer in the league, he was the best defender in the league. Not just wing defender, he was the best defender in the league. That's what defensive player of the years are. They're the best defender in the league at that time. He's got multiple defensive player of the years. He's got multiple first team all defenses, second team all defenses. He's got multiple steal champions. He led the I think D Wade might have just passed him right before he retired. But as far as guards, he led all guards all time in block shots. This dude was a great defensive player. And he had to chase guys like Reggie Miller off screens too. Like, he didn't just guard the ball and guard the post. He guarded off the ball as well. So the dude was a great defender. I want to see that in my MVP. I want to see you been a great defender and a great offensive player, because showing value on offense is one thing, but showing value on offense and defense is a totally different thing. So showing value on offense and slacking on defense is not an MVP to me. Showing value on offense and defense is. And that's what Michael Jordan did, and the trophy is named after him. So when I do my list for my MVPs, if I'm going to have a guy that's just all offense and no defense above a guy that's both, there's got to be a huge gap somewhere where he separates himself. And let's take Luka for example. If Luka is all offense and no defense, and Joel Embiid is both, what will make me put Luka in front of Joel Embiid? Well, I would put Luka in front of Joel Embiid if all offense and no defense was actually leading to more wins by a significant amount. So if Luka ends the season with 10 more wins than Joel Embiid, then I would consider putting him ahead of Joel Embiid. But if they got the same record or it's a difference between 1 or 2 games, there's no way. It's got to be 10 or more, right? For me to put you in front of a guy that's playing both sides of the ball. Or let's say Joel Embiid is playing both sides of the ball, but he's not that good offensively, so he's only averaging 21 points a game, and he's elite defensively, right? Right. And Luka is averaging 32 points a game with no defense, and the wins the same. That's enough of a gap. Yeah, Joel Embiid. Like, let's say if Giannis takes a step back scoring because Dame is there, and Giannis only averages 21 or 22 points a game, but we know Giannis is an elite defensive player and he's doing it on both ends. It'd be hard for me to put Giannis in front of Luka. I would have to put that gap in the scoring would have to put Luka ahead of Giannis, right? But if everything is even, because they're all averaging about 30 points. Tatum is averaging 29, Luka's averaging 31, Embiid's averaging 32, Jokic is averaging 30. So the scoring is even. Virtually, the scoring is even. The defensive side is where the gap is, and the wins is almost even. They're all winning at the same clip so far. So wins is a wash, scoring is a wash. Defense is where the gap starts. Defense is where the gap stops. So you can't tell me that Luka being 2 assists better than Embiid is enough to overlook the fact that Embiid is by far the better defender. So for my taste and the way I calculate everything, I would leave Jokic at number 1 because his team is playing so much better than everybody else's. But the team that's playing equally as good is the Boston Celtics. So Tatum is my number 2. Jokic is 1, Tatum is 2. Right? That could flop. Because like I said, Tatum is a guy who's great defensively and offensively, and he plays off the ball. So his assist numbers is not going to be what these other guys is playing point forward or point center or point guard, right? He has a point guard in Holiday, and he has a backup in Derek White. So his assists, he's not out there for that. He's out there to defend and score points relentlessly, and he's leading his team to a top 3 finish in offense and defensive rating. You can't beat that. So him and Jokic is interchangeable at 1 and 2. But I'll leave Jokic at 1 for now. Tatum 2. Embiid's 3 for me. Easily. And then we'll talk about either number 4 being Luka or SGA. That's how I see it. That's my top 5. And I guess we'll reevaluate this, and we'll talk about this again on next Friday. That's all I wanted to get into this episode. Make sure y'all go and download Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code ManDownSports. Get your first $100 matched when you deposit it. And let's go ahead and get some of these picks in, man. I won $100 last week. I put $10 in. I either picked 4 or 5 players, one football and 3 basketball, and I hit on all of them. I won $100. Cool, right? So y'all can win money like that every week too. I might even come on here and tell you which picks I'm picking. I got one in place right now. I'm not gonna talk about it yet, but if it hit, we're gonna have a conversation, man. So make sure y'all go and download that and use that promo code, and I'll catch y'all on the next episode. Peace.